How you going, everyone? It's good to be back, and I just need to share something with you all I found very fascinating. It's another short little video within this one. It's about 10 minutes. It's something that I picked up. I was looking at the Mazzaroth and seeing what's going on with the planets, and I've noticed that Venus and Mars are just about in a conjunction, and I'm seeing that in my afternoon sky, right near the. It was right near the new moon just the other night, but I'll go into the conjunction in more detail here and what it could possibly mean, and I'll come back to you after that, and I'll share another few little things. So enjoy this little video I just made of the Mazzaroth, and you can tell me what you think in the comments, and yeah, enjoy. How you going, everyone? I've just got something very interesting to point out in regards to the constellations, the Mazzaroth, that I found very, very interesting. Now, if we go back here on 6th of June, you can see in Gemini you've got Venus in the heel, if you like, of Gemini, which reminds us of how Satan bruised the heel of Christ. Now, I've heard that this constellation, it's been called the Twins, it's been called all kinds of different names. But in the Mazzaroth, I've heard a great explanation. It's actually a picture of Christ with his bride. Now, what I'm going to point out here is how Venus, it travels from the heel, and watch where it goes into the bride, which is, the upper one, as I go through the days. I'm going 24 hours at a time here. So just watch Venus and see how Mars is kind of hovering off there, and I've referred to Mars as the dragon. It reminds me of Revelation 12, where the dragon is waiting for a child to be born. Now, if you watch Venus, start going through, and you just keep watching Venus, and Mars is hovering there. It goes from the groin of the one on its knee, one knee, like proposing, also like he's been wounded on the heel, which where it goes. Still got Mars hovering off there. Don't you think it's into the womb? Similar to the other Revelation 12 sign that we saw in 2017. Comes out. Mars is starting to make a bit of a move. So out of the womb, if you like, of Gemini comes Venus, and it starts to enter Cancer. And Mars is gone. I mean, it's going. Venus keeps going, and it looks almost like a birth. It's going through like a woman giving birth again. I know it's a crab, but just use your imagination. I'll get to something very shortly which you'll find very interesting about this. So Venus is like directly through the center there. And then look who's waiting. Mars. And then look what happens with Mars. It's not going anywhere. It's waiting for it. Almost to devour. Now I'll quickly zoom in. There's also the moon just there as well. You can see Regulus up there, which is part of Leo, but I'll zoom in quickly. See how close they are? This is on the 13th. So depending where you are. It's already Wednesday where I am, so watch it move. Look where it's heading towards now. Okay, after it looks like Mars tried to get it, the mouth of the lion. Okay, and makes you think of that the Satan roams around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. But then the next part of Revelation 12 is the child was caught up to God and to his throne. So this could be like a dual picture of Satan and Christ, the Lion of Judah. So we move on to, it looks like the lion's going to eat, but it doesn't. It goes down. Who knows if this picture is accurate? I don't know, but from what we can see, it looks like it didn't eat it. Or did it? Is that eating it and going down the throat, or is that Venus escaping? And then it's going towards Regulus, which I believe has always represented the heart of Christ, the heart of God. I think it's the biggest one in that constellation. So anyway, it goes past Regulus. Mars doesn't go anywhere. Venus is escaping. See, Mars is way behind now. There's a whole other thing I can go into about Mars, what it does next. But what Venus does next is it goes all the way to Virgo next, right? And it goes to, and look, it goes to the heel of Leo as well, which is interesting. But the next part I wanted to show you was there's the moon, where Venus goes. Virgo, right? But where does it go in Virgo? I was looking at this, going through it and going, is it going where I think it's going? And it did. It's going to Spica over here. Watch how it goes to Spica. It's kind of like it goes to it, but it just goes past it. And Spica represents the wheat, which is actually, it's not the church and it's not the body or the bride. It's the Jew. It's wheat. So it's kind of like it just passes that by. And that's on, let's go back. Yeah, around there, the 4th to the 5th, it's just going past quite quickly. And then, after that, I thought, where does it go next? It goes into Libra, the scales of justice. So that's all the way up to the 30th of September. So, I mean, I could keep going, but don't you find what I've just shown you quite interesting? I'm going to go back and have a look at, I want to talk about Cancer. This, in the ancient Greek, was said to be called Hera. Now, Hera was supposed to be the enemy of Hercules, but it wasn't a crab. They named it Hera, and they had gods and goddesses. She was the goddess of, guess what? Motherhood and childbirth. And remember I was saying how it looks like Venus is being born out of it, and then the dragon comes and chases it. So what do you think of that, guys? I thought that was... There's so much more to that I'm probably missing, and you probably thinking some things yourself. You're probably like, wow, oh, look at that, look at that. It's also important to note that in the video with Venus, there's actual videos and stuff on about how Jesus and Venus have all this stuff in common. It's even written in the Bible about Venus and Jesus. And just think about the last two letters of Venus. It's the same as Jesus. But yeah, so what did you think of that, of the Cancer constellation and the connection to the ancient Greek? I've got some more information here about Hera. Another thing I found very, very interesting. If you look at the constellation of Cancer, it's just basically, it's like you've got two either end and then two in the middle joining them together. So two triangles sort of pointing towards each other. So Hera, she is from the ancient Greek, is the goddess of women, marriage, family, and childbirth. So another interesting thing, oh yeah, they use her for weddings. They used her for weddings. What else? She's used by married women for weddings, presiding over weddings, blessing marital unions. One of Hera's defining characteristics is her jealous and vengeful nature against Zeus. Now, it's the ancient Greek, so it's probably corrupted, but there was another little connection I found between Cancer and possibly Eve. Now, with Hera, she was the oldest illustrations, I believe, of Hera in the constellations was a woman holding a pomegranate. Now, it reminds me of Eve, if you think about it, because she's holding like a fruit. It's a pomegranate. Possibly was the pomegranate it could have possibly been the fruit Eve ate. I'm not saying, if you eat a pomegranate now that you're going to fall further into sin or whatever. It's just an interesting connection to Eve. And in the little video I just showed you, see how it's born out of Eve, in a sense. And I think the way that she stood, this Hera goddess, was like where Venus comes out of is also its womb. Also Hera's womb. And just the way the dragon comes up to meet it like that, straight after it comes out. And it misses and it goes to Regulus and looks like the lion's going to eat it. I mean, there's so much connection in there. If you guys see anything, let me know in the comments. If you guys see anything that I've missed, because I'm sure I did. I couldn't even keep up with just, the different stars within the constellations and what they meant. And just looking at Gemini so much differently now than it's just twins. There was so many other connections I could have made, and we could have just kept going through where it goes and where it's been, like Venus and what positions they were in and what it could possibly mean. Comparing it to the Mazzaroth. Mind blowing. Also, I managed to capture that constellation a couple of nights ago with my really good camera. So I'll give you a look at that. So yeah, it was looking amazing. And I also managed to capture yesterday. I managed to capture the sun. I've got a special filter. You can look at the sun. Quite interesting. I was looking at one of my favourite subjects was ancient Rome, and I noticed they were showing the reason I've got a fascination with that is because I look at what's going on now and who's in charge and the monuments they've built for themselves and the deeper meanings behind them and the gods and the goddesses behind all these structures that they built and systems, and it's ancient Greek and ancient Rome, because Rome took a lot from Greece as well. And I was looking at an aerial shot of what Rome looked like, and they were showing the Colosseum from directly above. And it was like here's a picture of it here. And it looked like an open mouth. And it was like a speaker looking up at the sky. It reminded me of a mouth. And it was every time somebody was killed or some sort of evil just happened, the crowd would scream and roar. And it would roar up at the sky. And don't you think it's kind of like how Satan tries to get back at God through mankind? Things like that. If you think about the shape of it, it's a speaker. You look at a speaker, the speaker faces towards you and you can hear the music. But if you're facing it up towards the sky, it's going right up into the atmosphere. So it's like a mouth speaking up at the sky, isn't it? Now they might be thinking that they're talking to their gods and goddesses, but in fact Satan set it up in such a way that they don't realize that they're blaspheming God from below. With all the killing and the murdering and cheering it on, and anyway. And then I went, oh yeah, maybe I've got a connection there, like it's a mouth. And then I looked at, they have this other temple. It was called the Oculus. Now you probably heard of that VR company, virtual reality. They sell their headsets called Oculus, but Oculus is actually from the ancient Greek and the ancient Roman, and it's a giant dome. You step into it and you look up and there's a hole in the top of the dome. And then they showed it from above, and it's an eye. It's an eye looking up at the sky. So it's like the fallen angels, they know exactly what they're teaching to mankind, but mankind's thinking something else. It's like at the same time we'll get them to worship us, but at the same time blaspheme the Creator, with these eyes looking up at the sky and this mouth and then you got the little half. They're called auditoriums, and it was like the circle, like a speaker, but it was only half a speaker, if you like. And I went, well, what does that look like? Because these things are only semicircles. I said, that looks like an ear. And it was called an auditorium, and that's where you go to hear things. That's where you go to hear people speak. And they worked it out to such a degree where if you stand in this exact spot, the person at the back could hear you. So fallen angels know what they're teaching mankind, but does mankind know? They know what they're teaching man is a lie, but does mankind know what they're being taught is a lie? That's the deception. Also, I watched a great documentary on 1000 AD, like 1,000 years, like halfway between where we are now and the time period on Earth. It was a very, very violent uprisings, and it was like Lord of the Rings kind of stuff. I mean, there was so many in Europe, especially. There was just kingdom after kingdom just trying to take over each other. But there was an end times deception, and it came from the Catholic Church, and it was to look for the Antichrist. They were teaching everyone, oh, the end's coming. You've got to look for the Antichrist. So the Catholic Church and God was saying, oh, it's not time yet. And see, the Catholic Church were teaching people that it is. And the times were so tumultuous. You had different beliefs taking over each other. You had different kingdoms and empires. The world was an absolute mess. But that was perpetuated by the Catholic Church. And the Vikings, they were going strong. They had a Viking named Eric the Giant. He was said to be giant. So how's that? An end times deception in around 1000 AD. To believe that, to look for the Antichrist. Because now we know more, don't we? We know that we're not meant to look for the Antichrist. So there you go. Tyrants. Tyranny has to be run by tyrants. I'm going to talk about some historic tyrants. Okay? I'm not just going to say their names. I'm going to talk about how some of their lives ended. Okay? We'll go right back. We'll start with Caesar. He was said to have been a really great man and all this. He was like the ultimate patriot or whatever. But he ended up being stabbed 23 times. He didn't have a very good ending. And then we'll go to Nero. He ran for his life. He was the richest man in the country at one point in the empire, and then he ended up running off into the hills into a holiday house or something, and stabbed himself in the throat because the soldiers were coming to get him. So he had a great ending, didn't he? And then you've got Caligula.
stabbed to death in an alleyway. I believe he was on his way back from the Colosseum, I think, or a Senate meeting. I can't remember. Then you've got. We'll go more modern. We'll go Hitler. Said to have either to have taken his own life with a cyanide pill or possibly with a bullet wound to the cranium. You've got his little helper, which was Goebbels. Suicide in prison. Nice. Then we'll go Mussolini. He's the one that got quite power drunk during Hitler's reign. He thought he was just going to join Hitler and they were going to sail off into the sunset of a utopian dream. Executed. And then I believe his body was... Him and his wife's body were put out on the street, I believe. Anyway, you've got Stalin. Stroke. The interesting thing about Stalin and his ending, his daughter said that she was in the room with him before he gave his final breath. Said that he pointed up at the ceiling and looked angry, shaking his finger, or trying to do some sort of... He was like looking past them, and they couldn't see what he was looking at. But he was doing this, shaking up at the ceiling, and they felt some sort of presence in the room. That was his daughter that said that. So, what do you think he saw? Was that God giving him another chance, or was that... Can he see something worse? So my point is that although these people, they have their way with mankind for a short period, and then they meet the most horrible ending. So there you go. How many times throughout history have the powers that be, what have they always promised to their captives? Peace, freedom, happiness, prosperity. And I'm thinking it's never ever been delivered. Never been delivered to mankind. But yet mankind just continues to buy into it. That men can make you happy. Not men and women. You know, mankind. Man will make you happy. Now, when I think of the Tower of Babel, I think that was the first New World Order, in a sense. Everyone under the one sort of rule, and how God dispersed it. And he dispersed, he confused the languages, and mankind spread out all over the world and ended up with their own cultures and etc. And then I think, that sort of got Satan, didn't it? He was like, oh, now they can't understand each other. How can I bring them under one roof again? And then basically what he's done again, he's gone, if I can't bring them under the one... He's trying again with English, of course. I'll make them kill each other. So you think about how you think of World War One. I've been watching a World War One and World War Two documentary, and I think just the way people just so quickly were picking up arms. And anyway, so yeah, all those different languages, he's going, okay, I'll make them all kill each other. And then now it's more he's trying to do the other one again, bring them all under one language and one way of doing things, and for our own good, of course. It's like you have to be under the spell for it to work in a way where it puts people to sleep while they're being basically killed off or manipulated. Or that's the world we live in. So anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. It's been great to have you back. I can't go on anymore because I don't want one of those over 1 hour videos again. But keep an eye on that constellation. Get the app Stellarium on your phone if you can, and you can track it all. You can see where it is right now. You can get the pro version or whatever, but I've just got the basic version. But don't you find that fascinating? Imagine how much we're missing. I mean, I can only imagine. I mean, it's so complex, but it's beautiful at the same time. It's just so hard to get your head around. But you try. It makes you realize how kind of how God's mind works. It's just, we've got 2 eyes and 2 ears and a mouth, and we can only see and hear and think so much at one time. But it's like he's all of these moving parts all at once, like billions of minds thinking at once. It's just, I mean, you can't even come close to that. Anyway, I'll see you soon. If there's anything else that pops up, I'll definitely let you know. But I found that fascinating, that constellation thing. So I'll talk to you soon. Continue to pray. Pray for me as well. And I will see you next time. See ya.